Good morning, friends. Today we will see the recent advances in characterization of farm animal genetic resources. So, we know that characterization of farm animal genetic resources is very important because around 50% of the animal genetic resources in India is non-descript. That means about half of the animals we don't know what we are having. And in this scenario, if we are losing some animal due to some certain unavoidable situation, we will not be able to know even what we have lost. And so it is very necessary to characterize the farm animal genetic resources. Here in this presentation, we will see why it is necessary to characterize farm animal genetic resources, what are the different methodologies, what are the approaches, and uh, what are the time duration, etc. So first of all, we will know what are the farm animal genetic resources. So earlier also you have seen what are the farm animal genetic resources that is available in India. So farm animal genetic resources include all the animal species, breeds and strain, including their wild relatives that are of economic, scientific and cultural interest to humankind in terms of food and agriculture production for the present or in the future. That means any animal or group of animal including their wild relatives that are useful to humankind in any aspect, either it is economical, social or cultural, and even certain animals which are of no use today but they might be used in future for the betterment of humankind, that also comes under the farm animal genetic resources. So there are approximately 40 mammalian species that has been domesticated in last 10,000 to 12,000 years around the globe. So this is the genetic diversity of animal genetic resources in India. Though this data is old, but you can update this data by going to the site of National Bureau of Animal Genetic Resources, India, and the address of the site is www.nbagr.res.in. There you can go and update the current number of breeds, registered breeds of different livestock species. Also, population of these species you can note down from the site of Department of Animal Husbandry, Fishery and Dairying. So you can get their updated data. Now the breeds reported from Gujarat. So if we come to cattle, in cattle Gujarat is having total 3 breed. Recently one more breed has been recognized, that is Dagri from northern Gujarat. So the breeds are Gir, Kankrej, Dangi and Dagri. The second one is buffalo. In buffalo it is Jafrabadi, Mehsani, Surti and Banni. Goat, Zalawadi, Surti, Mehsani, Kachhi, Gohilwadi. In sheep it is Patanwadi, Marwadi. Dumba is not yet registered. In poultry, Ankleshwar, Basra. In horse, Kathiawadi. In camel, Kachhi and Kharai, which is recently recognized, which is famous for its mangrove ecosystem adaptation. In horse also one more breed has been recognized, that is Kathiawadi. Then in poultry also in North Gujarat the work is under progress in one breed. Then sheep and goat also one breed has been recognized, that you can get information from the site of National Bureau of Animal Genetic Resources. So now we will see what are the breeds, how they are distributed in Gujarat, and what are the livestock breeds. So breeds are a population that may be considered as a breed if it fulfill the following criteria. That means for being a breed there are certain criteria that the population has to fulfill. First is subjected to common utilization pattern. So the breed should have common utilization pattern. That means कि suppose the one breed is a Kankrej. If Kankrej is used for plowing in Banaskantha, it should be used for plowing in Sabarkantha also or Mehsana also. That means कि it should have a common utilization pattern. Similarly, it should have common habitat or distribution area. So same breed cannot be in two different ecological conditions. Okay, it represents largely a common gene pool. That means they should be interbreedable. Then breed of livestock is a set of individuals reproductively isolated with unique adaptive attributes under the genetic control of many interacting genes and the result of complex interaction between genotype and environment. Okay, that means breeds has been evolved during the course of time by the complex interaction of genotype and environment. So if we consider breed as a genotype, after continuous exposure to a particular environment and interacting with that environment, a breed has been developed over the course of time. So breed can be considered as a unit of conservation. When we want to conserve animals, we have to conserve the breed first, so that animal will be conserved. So the breed has been evolved, the phenotype of breed has been evolved due to the interaction between genotype and environment. So now the distribution of genetic resources in Gujarat. In cattle, the Gujarat now possesses 4 breed of cattle: Kankrej, Gir, Dangi and Dagri. So Kankrej found mainly in the northern Gujarat, Gir in Saurashtra region and Dangi in southern Gujarat. Similarly, the newly recognized breed Dagri is also found in northern part of Gujarat. Coming to buffalo genetic resources, in buffalo genetic resources we are having 4 breeds: Banni, Mehsani, Japrabadi and Surti. So Banni is found in Kutch district mainly, Mehsani in northern Gujarat, Japrabadi in Saurashtra region and Surti in southern Gujarat. We can see it from the this figure. So in sheep, we are having Patanwadi, Marwadi and Dumba. Dumba, I think it has been registered by the name of Panchali. So Patanwadi, Marwadi and Dumba or Panchali. Then in goat genetic resources, we are having Mehsani, Kutchi, Jalawadi, Goilwadi and Surti. And one more breed recently has been recognized that you have to see from the NBGR website. So Kutchi mainly in Kutch, Mehsani in North Gujarat, Jalawadi in Central Gujarat, Goilwadi in the Saurashtra region and Surti in South Gujarat. Similarly, poultry we are having 2 breeds, Barsara and Ankleshwar. Both are in southern Gujarat. The one recognition of one breed from northern Gujarat is in under progress. So now question comes, why to characterize the animals? What is the need for characterization? So the characterization is necessary because after characterization we can understand the population in a better way. We can get the complete description of the population, its production environment. It also provides the option for utilization and management of animal genetic resources. Then it may be used to develop improved conservation program. It may be used to determine population trend, whether it is increasing or decreasing or it is static. And considering all these things, we can advocate relevant policies from time to time. So this was the reason why we need to characterize. Now for maintaining or managing animal population, we need to have 3 components. So suppose we want to manage the animal population of a particular geographical area, we need to have 3 components. First is understanding. So we should understand what population, what resources you are having. For that, you need to characterize the animal and document the properties of those animals. Now you have to look for the utilization pattern, whether these animals are being utilized by the human being of that area, or that animal is now redundant, nobody is using that animal. Now, after considering these two facts, that means you know the utilization pattern, you have categorized the animal, then you have to conserve based on the priority of the utilization. Now comes to the characterization. So characterization is done at two levels. First is phenotypic characterization and second is genetic characterization. Phenotypic characterization include the study of the morphological feature of that animal, but it does not only include the morphological feature. It is a process of identifying distinct breed population and describing their external and production characteristics. So, external and production characteristics in a given environment and under given management, taking into account the social economic factors that affect them. So, not only morphological feature, but it will also include the production feature in that particular environment. So, you have to study the environment also, and in relation to social and cultural economic factors. So, you have to study the social practices, economic condition of the animal owners of that particular area. So, phenotypic characterization, different components are: the first is description of external, that is morphological characteristics like anatomical and morphological features. Then second is production characteristics. You have to know how much that animal is producing in a particular economic trait. Then you have to study the geographical distribution and the use of that animal, economical as well as socio-cultural. Many of the animals that don't have any economic value, but culturally they are very important. People are worshipping those animals. So that is also a very important genetic resource. So now phenotypic characterization is classified into two parts. The first is primary and second one is advanced. So primary characterization, in which we need to take a single visit to the field. So first step is to take a single visit, and during that visit you measure the morphological features, interview the owners, observe and measure some important aspect of the production environment, and also map the geographical distribution. So that means when you are taking a single visit, you just measure the morphological feature, then production environment, then you map the distribution pattern, distribution area of those animals. Then comes the advanced characterization. In advanced characterization, you need to take a repeated visit. Why we need to take a repeated visit? Because we want to know the production potential of the animal. The production for getting production potential, you need to take repeated visit like monthly visit, weekly visit, or fortnightly visit, or 6 monthly visit, and then also you will be able to find the adaptive capacities of the animal. That means that suppose the animals are possessing some unique characteristic like disease resistance or heat resistance. So in single visit you will not be able to appreciate it, but when you will repeatedly visit, then you will be able to know, yes, this particular animal is having certain unique characteristics. So this was the method of phenotypic characterization, primary and secondary. Primary and advanced. The second is the approaches to characterization. So there are two approaches: exploratory approach and confirmatory approach. So similar to primary and advanced, in this exploratory approach is analogous to the primary characterization, primary phenotypic characterization. So in exploratory approach, it is undertaken in a situation where there is no reliable background information is available. That means we don't know whether there is any distinct population in that particular area. So just we will take a visit and we will see, or during a simple visit we will come to know there is some distinct population. So here the objective of phenotypic characterization is to investigate the existence of distinct breeds in the study area. So in exploratory area is typically a exploration That means you want to explore whether there is any distinct population or distinct breed is there or not. The next step is to develop a sampling frame. So during exploratory approach itself, you have to identify the sampling frame. So from where you have to, means you have to locate the animal owners, the distribution area, the place where most of the animals are concentrated, like that. The exploratory approach also requires estimation of total livestock population in the study area, as well as the number of livestock keepers who maintain those animals. Okay, then comes the confirmatory approach. Confirmatory approach is just the confirmation of the exploration. That means that during exploration you come to know that there is distinct population. Now you want to confirm. So for that you will have to visit repeatedly. You have to validate the breed identity. So how? So it also involves the objective assessment of documented indigenous knowledge and other indicative information. So indigenous knowledge possessed by the animal owners, you have to take into the account. The approach can be used to look more closely at the differences among population identified during primary characterization. So during primary characterization you consider that this population is distinct. Then in confirmatory approach you have to compare those animals with the existing animals, and you have to determine the differences. Okay, how this population is different from the other one. The confirmatory approach is applied for breed evaluation and breed comparison under on-station or on-farm management condition, that is advanced characterization. So confirmatory approach is analogous to advanced characterization. Now the methodology of characterization. So in methodology of characterization we generally adopt the stratified random sampling model. A stratified random sampling model, and that too 3 into 4 into 5 stratified random sampling model. 3 into 4 into 5 means you have to take at least 3 districts, and within each district you have to take 4 strata. That 4 strata means 4 taluka, and in each stratum you have to take 5 village. So this will be 3 into 4 into 5 stratified random sampling model. And in each strata, that means ki on 5 villages you have to keep one enumerator that will go to those 5 villages, and that will count the animals or take the morphological measurements. And on each 4 enumerator you have to keep one supervisor who will supervise the function of all the enumerators of a particular strata. Okay, so this is the simple methodology of characterization. 3 into 4 into 5 stratified random sampling model. Now the timeline. So in first 3 months you have to count the animals, you have to see the management practices and the socio-economic status of the animal keepers. Household and animals for detailed recording will be identified during first 3 months. Then for physical characterization you need minimum 100 animal in each district for each category with respect to age, group and sex. So you have to group the animal based on their age and sex. Then growth, production and reproduction parameter, you have to measure at least 200 animal from each district. So this production and growth characteristic you have to measure at least 200 animal from each district. So total duration of survey in case of small animals, sheep and goats is 18 months, and in large animal it will take around 24 months. And you have to monitor the whole procedure by visiting monthly visit or quarterly visit or half yearly or yearly interval. Then you have also you have to identify the elite animals. As a scientist, when you go for monitoring, you have to identify the elite animals for the conservation of that particular breed. So thank you. This was the basic concept of the phenotypic characterization of farm animal genetic resources. In next lecture, we will study about the molecular characterization of farm animal genetic resources. Thank you.